Hello and welcome to episode 11 of Mediocre Military Scale Modeling. In today's episode, again, we are going to look at an aircraft here. This is the second aircraft we've looked at on this channel, and this is the first kit we've ever looked at from the company Bronco. Not very familiar with them, but I guess there's a few aircraft kits they do. And from my research, they make one of the best MiG-15 in 1/48 scale. So if you're looking to make a 1/48 scale MiG-15, there's Bronco. I think there's a couple other ones. Tamiya, I think, has one, but I think it's pretty expensive. This one is pretty reasonable. It was still available as of 2024, even on places like Amazon, and it's pretty good. They have two versions. They have the original North Korean War version, and then they have the MiG-15 BIS, which is like the second version of the MiG-15, which is like very slightly different. Also from the Korean War, this is the North Korean version. But yeah, Bronco is probably one of the better kits if you do want a 1/48 scale MiG-15. Now, of course, the MiG-15 is an iconic Soviet fighter jet. One of the earliest kind of fighter jets from the Cold War period, starting in the 1950s. Very effective early jet fighter, used in many conflicts, and I believe North Korea, as of the 2020s, actually still uses a number of these planes. I think mostly, though, as trainers. They are hopelessly outdated in 2020, but it's interesting that there's still some in operational service. What can I say? It went together okay. I'm not a great airplanes aren't really my big forte. I enjoy mixing things up and putting airplanes together rather than like tanks or armored vehicles sometimes, but they aren't quite my forte. But the kit itself went together okay. I did use a couple third-party enhancements. One of them is for the machine guns and the cannons. There's a cannon and I believe two machine guns down here at the bottom, and I did use some resin 3D printed parts for those, and I also used the Edward kit for the cockpit. So there's some photo etch, like control panels, there's those 3D sticker control panels, and there's like seat belts and stuff for that to enhance the cockpit. Unfortunately, I messed up a little bit with the cockpit. It's pretty foggy. To be honest, you can't really see in there, so they didn't really come in all that useful. The kit mostly put together okay. I had a few issues. There's kind of a pretty pronounced, well, it's not too bad. There's like a seam line here, and I'm not sure the intake there. I don't know what you want to call it, that middle part there. I believe it's supposed to be perfectly vertical, and I think it doesn't quite line up perfectly. Let me see if I can get it head on there with the camera. Yeah, it's not quite perfect. You won't notice it at a glance, but I don't believe it's perfectly kind of vertical. It's just off a little bit because I had some trouble putting the fuselage together. But again, I'm not sure if that's the kit's fault or just my fault. Taking a look at the underside, not too much to look at there. Nice decals. There's those guns there on the front, and fuel tanks. I don't believe there are any versions of this that carried like missiles or anything like that. This was early days of the jet age. I believe this was purely like a gun dogfighter, although there might be some weird versions out there, or maybe where they attach some small bombs or something to it. I put the little antenna on there. It went on pretty decently. But yeah, I did make a number of mistakes with this build. So other than the nose there not being perfectly vertical, of course the cockpit, I didn't do the best job. It's not as bad as the Zero, but it doesn't look great. The area around where I put on the plastic, of course, right there, I got glue on my finger, and then it touched the cockpit, and it created that terrible mess right there. I tried to fix, but there's really not much you can do when that happens. So yeah, cockpit doesn't look great. Other than that, just a few issues with the paint and blemishes like right there. It doesn't look great. We can look back at the tail, like right there. Doesn't look great. I always have a problem when applying these silver, like the aluminum and the silver paint job on these jets. And then when you try to do the weathering or the pin washes, it looks okay, but I'm not usually great at that. Like there's another spot right there that doesn't look great. So I think I did better with this jet than I did with the Zero that we've seen in episode 9, but this is definitely not one of my best works. I do like how with the paint scheme it's a little bit mixed up. It's not like pure silver or aluminum. You got the cool red there on the nose, and you got the little red part on the tail there, which is neat. Makes it a little bit more visually interesting. I also appreciate how the North Koreans like to put their North Korean Air Force insignia all over the place. So again, makes it a little bit more visually interesting. So it's okay, but again, I don't think I did really a great job with this one. So overall, this kit, I think this was a pretty good kit from Bronco. I don't know, 2 stars? I don't know. I think on my last episode I didn't even bother to rate the kit. So if I remember, but yeah, it's a decent kit. I don't know how it compares to, say, the Tamiya. And there's probably some other kits out there, but this one was okay, especially for the price. I think I paid like $30-ish, give or take, for it. Now, as for my job, again, aircraft, I don't do aircraft as much as I do armored vehicles, and I don't know. I'm having a hard time rating this because it's not horrible, but there are a number of mistakes. A lot of little blemishes or issues with the paint. Of course, my usual mistake, like the area around the cockpit where the cockpit meets the fuselage, doesn't look good. A lot of little issues again there with like paint, fingerprints, things like that, not perfectly aligning like right there. If I gave plus or minuses, I would, I don't know. I guess we should talk about the 3 ratings I do give myself on this channel are: the lowest rating is a artistically inclined 5th grader, could do better. My middle rating is that good old college try. And then my best rating is certified mediocre, and it's almost, I either want to give this a artistically inclined 5th grader could do better plus, or that good old college try minus. It almost falls in between those 2 ratings, but if I have to force myself to only work with those 3 ratings, I would give this, I would say an artistically inclined 5th grader could do better, but just barely. It's almost up there with that good old college try, almost, but just not quite. There's just a little too many little issues. If it was just the paint job alone, or the weathering, or just the cockpit, or just the front here, I think I would have gave it that middle thing, but or maybe even 2 of those, like the front and then maybe some blemishes, but it's just compounded, all the little issues together. It doesn't look fantastic. I'm just going to put it on my lowest rating. And even things I'm noticing now, like the fit with the wings to the fuselage, this side looks okay, but there's an obvious gap right here that I didn't even really get filled in well. So yeah, I'm definitely going to give this one an artistically inclined 5th grader could do better. And I think that's what I've given both of the aircraft I've had on this channel so far. So keep watching. Maybe my aircraft skills will improve as we move along. We'll have some more episodes with my aircraft, and let's see if I learn anything and do better in the future. But yeah, there we go. This is the MiG-15 BIS from the Korean War, and yeah. That's about all I have to say about this guy here. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.